Everyone remembers it. The blood, the screaming, that viral 2017 video of a passenger being literally dragged down the aisle of an airplane. It was visceral, it was shocking, and it absolutely dominated global news. At the time, we all thought we knew exactly why it went down. The assumption was pretty simple, right? The airline just accidentally sold more tickets than they had physical seats on the plane. It was framed as this colossal but kinda standard math error, just a glitch in the system that left one passenger too many. Except it wasn't a math error at all.
The terrifying truth, which the airline actually admitted later on, was that they didn't accidentally sell too many tickets. The flight was just simply sold out. Every single person who was supposed to be on that plane was actually there. The airline intentionally needed 4 paying passengers gone. Not because of some booking mistake, but because they desperately needed to make room for their own staff who had to get to a shift the next day.
That single event, it pulls back the curtain on this massive, hidden mechanism operating above our heads literally every single day. It completely shatters our most basic assumption about flying, that buying a ticket means you actually own a seat. The reality is way more calculated than that. Your quote-unquote confirmed reservation? It's an illusion. Welcome to Market Mind Lab.
Section 1. The illusion of a ticket. So when you buy a ticket, you naturally think you're locking down a specific physical space on a specific plane. But legally, you really aren't. Buried deep in the fine print of every single ticket is something called the contract of carriage. And this document legally hands airlines total sweeping power over who stays on the plane and who gets kicked off. They hold all the cards. They can even exercise this power when a flight isn't technically overbooked. Now, to understand why this extreme level of control became the global standard in the first place, you have to wrap your head around one crazy concept. To an airline, a seat is a perishable product. Think of an airplane seat not like a piece of furniture, but more like, well, a gallon of milk. It has a strict expiration date. Its value completely vanishes the exact second those wheels leave the runway. If a seat is empty on takeoff, the airline can never, ever sell that specific inventory again. It's just gone.
Section 2. The spoilage problem.
That vanishing value is the absolute root of the airline industry's biggest vulnerability. An empty seat isn't just a minor inconvenience for them. It is a literal, existential threat to their survival. Inside the industry, this threat has a very specific, highly feared name: spoilage. They define it as the financial death caused by unsold, expired inventory. You see, airlines operate on these notoriously razor-thin profit margins. The cost to fly a giant jet from New York to London, the fuel, the crew, the maintenance, the airport fees, that cost is pretty much fixed, whether the plane is packed to the brim or completely half empty. So every single empty seat represents pure, unrecoverable lost profit, dragging that entire flight dangerously close to operating at a total loss.
And here's where the math gets really tricky. Statistically speaking, across the entire history of modern aviation, 15% of passengers on any given route just won't show up. It's human nature. We get stuck in horrible traffic, we sleep right through our alarms, meetings run late, or we just randomly change our plans at the last second. If airlines only sold the exact number of physical seats available on a plane, 15% of every single flight would take off empty. To an industry that's absolutely terrified of spoilage, rolling over and accepting a 15% loss on every single trip, that is a guaranteed one-way ticket to bankruptcy.
Section 3. Inventing the math.
So, to survive, the industry desperately needed a way to outsmart all that human unpredictability. And that brings us to a huge turning point in aviation history. This is when our messy, chaotic human behavior was actually transformed into a hard science. Back in 1958, an economist named Martin Beckman tackled this exact problem. He built a mathematical model that, honestly, just allowed airlines to start gambling. His model worked by carefully balancing the extra money gained from selling tickets that didn't exist against the financial risk of paying a bump fee to passengers if, by some miracle, everyone actually showed up. It was a cold, calculated equation of pure probability. Basically, if the penalty for bumping someone was low and the chance of a no-show was high, the math practically screamed that you absolutely must overbook. By the 1960s, American Airlines saw the genius in this and actually started automating the process inside their early computer reservation systems.
And this mathematical gamble evolved incredibly fast. We start with Beckman's theoretical model in '58, move to American Airlines automating it in the '60s, but the real gas on the fire was 1979, industry deregulation. Before 1979, the government kept a super tight leash on airline routes and essentially guaranteed their profit margins. But once deregulated, airlines were thrown into this vicious free market price war. Fares completely plummeted. So to survive this brutal new landscape, overbooking transformed literally overnight. It went from being this clever little accounting trick to an absolute, non-negotiable survival mechanism.
To really grasp why they embraced this so fiercely, you have to look at the staggering financial stakes. This mathematical gamble, literally selling air that did not exist, was worth $500 million a year to American Airlines alone. $500 million! This wasn't just spare change. This was the literal difference between dominating the skies and closing up shop for good. And wow, the results were undeniably effective. By fully rolling out Beckman's models, American Airlines, and eventually the rest of the industry, saw these dramatic shifts. They slashed that wasted inventory from a crippling 15% all the way down to just 3%. The math worked flawlessly. It saved the airlines, but in the process, it permanently altered the reality of what a ticket actually meant.
Section 4. The chopping block algorithm. Fast forward to today, and Beckman's early math has evolved into this highly sophisticated, totally invisible machine that dictates literally every flight you take. The industry calls it virtual capacity. Listen, this is not just some random guess by a gate agent. It is a complex, risk-based algorithm that constantly hunts for the unique, optimal overbooking level for every single flight. It tracks things like reading days, constantly monitoring how booking curves change day by day to update no-show forecasts in real time. But it goes way further than that. It knows the exact local cost of a hotel voucher in whatever city you're going to. It even calculates the statistical odds that you'll ever fly with them again if they ruin this specific trip. This algorithm predicts our collective human behavior way better than we even could.
But, the machine isn't perfect. Unpredictable things still happen. A massive storm clears up early, every single connecting flight arrives perfectly on time, and suddenly the gamble just doesn't pay off. So we really have to ask, what happens when the math fails? What happens on that rare, fateful day when every single person who bought a ticket actually walks down that jet bridge?
Well, when the cabin is too full, someone has to go. And let me tell you, the selection for the chopping block is rarely, if ever, random. Airlines maintain this hidden, honestly, kind of chilling hierarchy inside that cabin. If you're a frequent flyer with top-tier elite status, you're protected. If you're a high-fare business traveler who bought a last-minute premium ticket, you're protected. The entire system is engineered to use the rest of the cabin as a financial buffer. If you scored the lowest discounted fare, or if you were the absolute last person to hit check-in on the app, congratulations, you just rocketed to the top of the list. You are the one who gets left behind just so the algorithm's gamble stays profitable. Now, there's this huge, widespread myth that overbooking is somehow illegal. It's totally not. It is a fully legal, standard practice approved by aviation authorities. The theoretical justification is that it lets airlines operate more efficiently and keep base fares lower for everyone. However, you do actually have some hidden legal rights when that chopping block comes swinging for you. For instance, if you get bumped involuntarily, you can insist on receiving a physical check. You are absolutely not legally required to accept those expiring, restrictive travel vouchers. But, and this is a big but, you've got to watch out for the 1-hour rule. If the airline manages to reroute you and somehow get you to your final destination within exactly 1 hour of your originally scheduled arrival time, they legally owe you absolutely nothing. Zero compensation.
Section 5. The $10,000 Treaty.
That bloody 2017 scandal we talked about earlier? It was a complete PR nightmare that genuinely threatened this entire overbooking system. It forced airlines to drastically change their physical tactics. They're now strictly prohibited from forcibly dragging you off an aircraft once you've actually boarded. But make no mistake, the underlying goal of the math, that remains exactly the same. They just needed a new, cleaner way to clear those seats. So their solution was to weaponize their wallets. They essentially introduced a $10,000 peace treaty. Realizing that the horrific PR damage of a viral video costs way more than a simple payout, airlines leaned into a massive loophole. There is legally no limit on what an airline can offer for a voluntary bump. To avoid the disastrous optics of forcing someone out, gate agents are now fully empowered to offer thousands and thousands of dollars just to entice you to willingly walk away from your confirmed seat.
And I think this brings us to the broader insight behind this whole investigation. A conflict of math literally turned into a high-stakes auction. The airline industry hasn't abandoned Martin Beckman's models at all. They haven't stopped gambling on our daily unpredictability for a second. They've just refined the negotiation process. They still continue to sell seats that do not exist, betting incredibly heavy that 15% of us just won't show up. And when we actually do, Well, they're now prepared to pay just enough money to keep the secret math of the sky completely invisible to everyone else waiting at the gate.
Understanding this whole hidden mechanism really forces us to look at the travel experience in a totally new light, doesn't it? The next time you tap purchase and see that nice, reassuring, confirmed seat assignment pop up on your screen, you kind of have to ask yourself about your true status inside this massive corporate machine. Are you truly a passenger with a guaranteed physical spot? Or are you just a calculated data point in a $500 million gamble for profit?
The whole system relies on you not knowing the rules of the game until you're already standing at the gate, nervously waiting to see if your name gets called. So I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on today. Imagine you're standing right there at the podium. Your bags are packed, you're ready to go, and an airline agent offers you $10,000 in cold, hard cash to just walk away from your long-awaited vacation. What is your price? Would you take it? Let us know what you do down in the comments below.